Hi James, how
Hello,
are you?
Salvatore.
Are you
Fine.
fine?
Very fine.
Yeah.
Very well.
Oh, thank you. Oh, good. Good one. What? How can we talk about the ultradepth and in which ways you'd like to introduce ultradepth on us?
Well, first of all, let me start with ultradepth so people understand. It's a process that helps a person achieve levels of depth, hypnotic depth, that cannot be normally acquired with simple or traditional hypnotic techniques. I know there's a lot of different opinions out there from people who have their beliefs but do not have an experience. Until you have an experience, you should not be judging things. There's a lot of things in the world that whether you or I or anyone else believes it or not, it truly does exist. Throughout time, we have all learned this. One time, it was believed that man could not fly. Now we fly all over the place. It was believed that the world was flat. We found out it wasn't flat at all. The same thing with hypnosis. You know, many still believe that traditional somnambulism is the deepest possible state anyone can achieve. Well, that's not true either. And there's also beliefs that, oh, all you have to do is get the individual into a hypnotic state and give them suggestions. Well, sometimes that works. Most of the time, it really doesn't. A lot of people also think that one technique will work for everybody. Well, that would mean then we are all machines. We all look alike, think alike, do alike. Well, we know that that's not true. Different stimuli can affect the same group of people different ways. The same stimuli can affect the same group of people different ways. We are so diverse in this world, mankind, humankind. And we have to realize there's some things that just go beyond what we're used to. What we believe is the truth. But when you work with it, you find out that things aren't so. The thing that I really want to get across to people, that what I discovered through the training I took from Walter Secord, things that happened after that there's different parts of somnambulism. It isn't just somnambulism. There's a light, medium, and deep. The deep part, to me, is profound somnambulism.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things to prove that you have it, because you have to be satisfied, is complete amnesia.
Amnesia, exactly. Most of hypnotists and hypnotherapists doesn't understand in my way how is, or better, how their client can achieve a profound somnambulism. In my way that I've learned with you, and we have trained in these days that the relationship between the amnesia is knitting by the anesthesia. So if the body is in the level of profound somnambulism, doesn't have any recall, so in this way the body has a complete and profound anesthesia that is different than analgesia.
Right, but you have to also understand it is not the entire body there. It's just a localized area, such as the hand, the arm, the wrist, a finger, the side of the face going all the way deep into the jaw, deep into the bone, deep into the muscles, deep into the nerves. It's localized, but it is real anesthesia. Analgesia, which is commonly known as glove anesthesia, just means less sensitive. But anesthesia means numb, no feelings. So in order to get more, we have to take this person to another state. Most hypnotists know it as the coma state. There is no such thing. It is the Esdale state. It should be named, should be known for the person who actually discovered this. And Dave Ellman even said this in his book. If anyone just looks at his book, read the book, and gets to that section, they'll see on the top of the page it says the Esdale state. And yes, he's talking about this hypnotic coma-like state. And in order for a person to achieve that, there are certain procedures they have to go through. Once they achieve it, if they really do, and you have to go through all the tests, and it isn't just yelling something loud to a person, there are certain procedures to get there, and it really needs to be done. Once you get there, the rest of the procedures have to be done in total silence in order for the conscious mind to let go. Because the more you talk, the more you're going to keep the conscious there. And you want the conscious to let go. Now for years, many, even today, hypnotists all over say, sleep! But what happens? They say, well, it's really not sleep, it means everybody has their own opinion. But I discovered something, which I'll mention in a minute, that they were right. But we can't say that because in the lighter states, we don't have that. Now, in the Esdale state, the person can have general anesthesia. That's from the toes to the top of the head. Complete general anesthesia. The entire body numb, and they still can hear. They can't speak if they're there. They cannot consciously move the body when they're there. It's not possible because in a coma, they certainly don't move their body. So how could we call this a, quote, hypnotic coma if the person can move around? Well, when it's achieved, they can't. They can hear. They no longer feel. They cannot speak. The motor nerves are turned off. That area of the brain there's like a disconnect there. And this enables this person to have, that's how the anesthesia works. And when it's, say they have to go for surgery, and this is for real now, they may not recall most of it. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit more. Yes. The ultradepth was discovered by Walter Secord. That was deeper, at that time he felt it was deeper than what he called what was commonly called the coma state. And in this state, the body is completely flaccid. All the muscles completely flaccid. The body cannot support itself. The conscious is no longer there, and the brain function has gone to a lower mode. When this occurs, usually the person begins to snore. When the rapid eye movement starts, and that's moving left and right of the eyeballs and not the up and down of the eyelids or anything else. It is the eyeballs, they float left and right. The person truly is in deep sleep.
Deep sleep.
That is the deepest possible state anyone can achieve. Now there's many different doors you can go through once you get there.
It's possible, excuse me, in the Esdale state, in a deep level of Esdale state, because we have 3 levels in Esdale state too.
Yes.
So sometimes the borderline between the Esdale state and the Psycho state is a really very, very small.
Like a fine hair.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So for my experience, more people in the ESDEL state, in the deepening state of the ESDEL, sometimes can a little bit snoring.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So for me, is a light of signal,
Again, a what?
a signal,
A signal. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
a signal that the client can be staged to the secret state.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's how you know. There's things you have to look for, as you've seen throughout your training. As, by the way, you are aware that you are now the trainer for Italy.
Oh,
And
thank
you are and going to have to get Europe together.
Oh,
It's
thank you
very
much.
difficult for me to go there, and people need to realize this. But throughout the training, you came to a lot of your own awarenesses. You were able to piece things together from what you were learning. And this is what I expect people to do. It's important to learn the basics. They have to get the basics down. And I don't mean basic hypnosis. The basics of the ultradepth process. They have to work this. They themselves will start to see these things as their clients or their subjects enter these states. And they should give themselves permission to have this experience too. There's a thing that Native Americans say, it's similar to, you know, you cannot guide someone down a path unless first you go down that path yourself. So it's best that they themselves have the experience. When I had the experience for my own cataract surgery, that was the convincer for me, because an hour only seemed like maybe seconds. It was remarkable. It took a little bit for me to grasp it when I got up, because I didn't know in my own mind for sure if I could achieve it. I did. I really, truly did. And then after that, of course, now that I overcame that little bit of doubt, now I can do it pretty easily. If I can do it, anybody can do it. The thing that was so remarkable was what the doctor told me afterwards. He was shocked. He said, "You flatlined." That means all my vitals were zero, were at the bottom. He said, when we were going to pronounce you, he didn't say the other word, but when we were going to pronounce you, your vitals came back. And he said, so we could continue. Well, I was still unaware of all this. When he told me that, I didn't want to look surprised. I didn't want to scare the doctor. I said, well, that's normal. Of course, that confused him even further. But that was my truly first experience. From that point on, it was easy for me. I had to overcome that little bit of doubt. So if I can do it, you're no different than me. You can do it. That one can do it. This one can do it. That one, everybody can do it. But how do we do it? Not everybody is a natural somnambulist, but we can condition them to become. We don't like that word condition, we can train them. Don't like that word, we can teach them. You don't like that word, we can educate them.
Exactly.
To become a somnambulist. Once that happens, well, now we've got to work a little more, have them become a profound somnambulist.
Exactly.
And yes, the key is amnesia, because if you have the amnesia, you know without a doubt you have the anesthesia. Now, if you can get that profound somnambulism, you usually, in most cases, can get the rest.
Yeah.
So that's the key. That's the borderline there. That's, we'll use someone else's term, that's the critical factor in achieving the rest of it, is getting that profound somnambulism. Then the ESDEL will come, and what I now call the secord state.
Yeah.
This, and the ultradepth process is setting up verbal anchors, I call them keywords, a verbal anchor for each of the profound levels of depth, and knowing how to work those words to the benefit of the client. It's not your benefit, the operator, it's their benefit.
Exactly. I think that view in this way, hypnosis is a learning process.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
everyone can achieve the somnambulist state, and everybody can have a really healthy wellness in their life. So
Absolutely.
we have to learn how achieve it, because it's important to understand that 100 years ago the people that called somnambulistic person was very very cheap. So hypnotism in the past was attached by many therapists, psychologists, because they said to use hypnotism is only for certain kind of subject. It's not possible to stage more people in a deep sleep. How they used to call the somnambulism. Now,
We have a different technology.
exactly,
We have a different understanding.
exactly,
Things and time progresses.
exactly,
We have to get out of the old ways.
exactly.
We're not 100 years ago now. Now we're in, well, soon it's going to be 2013.
Yeah.
You know?
In
This
the
is a long time.
Yeah. So, Dave Hellman was a great hypnotist, and thanks to him, if now today we have a skeleton structure where we can take something to work. Can you please tell something about Dave Hellman and that period of hypnosis, please?
Well, of course, you know Dave Ellman. He was back in the 40s and 50s. We're beyond 50 years after he has passed. Things have changed. Back then, actually, even when I was a child, life was much slower. There was less stress on us. As we progressed, as I grew older, in my time, I watched things change. I watched the way the brain would process. Now, we want things instantly. Everything is instant gratification, instant satisfaction. We're bombarded by so much stimulus. The brain has been conditioned to work at a higher pace. It's more difficult to get things immediately. So now we have to learn, we have to take the brain, actually the brain, through a learning process to go back to this lower mode, and it takes some time. And yes, now, once we've done that, we can teach the person how to achieve it faster. But it's still through a conditioning or a teaching or a process where the person, their brain, can work together in harmony so they can achieve these states. Erickson, a lot of people say, well, Erickson said that, somnambulists were very few. No, Erickson never said that. Natural somnambulists are very few, and it's hard to find them. There are ways to find them. There's techniques today that we can use that can show us who the natural somnambulists are. We can move them faster. But those who are not a natural somnambulist, we can teach them to become a somnambulist. We teach them that, we can get all the rest. So we have to work at the speed of the client or our subject. We cannot expect them to work at our speed. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, that's ridiculous. Well, that's your belief. But the fact is, we have to slow down for them. Yes, some people get it faster than others. But most people today, it's going to take repetition over and over until the brain begins to process at a lower speed, and now things will begin to take hold. There's no magic, it's not mumbo jumbo, and believe me, the Secord state is far beyond that. However, People, most individuals, I would say, out of 199 individuals who can become what I call staged, means get a keyword for each of those levels, a verbal anchor for each of those levels, something happens. Their gifts and talents that we all have become enhanced. We say, oh, they're so psychic. No, that's very normal. It's not something mystical. It's not something magical. If anyone who believes in God has to realize God did not shortchange anyone. We all have the same capabilities, but it's what, do we apply them or do we not apply them? It's what we do with what was given to us. We all can do the same thing, maybe a little differently than the next, but we all can achieve the same thing. We all have these wonderful gifts and talents that have to be recognized within us. Once we recognize it, now we can accept it, and then we can get more of it. And believe me, entering the support state and just being there for a given amount of time, an hour can truly seem like seconds. And that's probably about the most profound rest you can ever get. And how does this, what I say, this rapid healing, Walter Secord even said it, rapid healing, 6 to 10 times faster than normal. Why? Because we get this during sleep. Well, how come we don't get this rapid healing during sleep? If we get it in sleep and then we spend extra time there in the Secord state, the rapid healing now occurs because we're spending extra time there. They have to understand the mind model that I use in the ultradepth and how it works and who are we working with besides the conscious person in the brain. There's another part of them. That's subconscious. And this is what we truly have to become in rapport with. I know many hypnosis school of thought is, well, the brain is lazy, it has to be taught, it has to be that, and then they say, and subconscious, blah, 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 and unconscious, but they get them all confused. The brain is unconscious. It cannot think, it can only process data. Subconscious thinks, reasons, fully aware, doesn't have to be taught. We'll play the game with you if you want to think and act like a subconscious is stupid. It'll play that game because that's what you believe. It will not upset your belief system.
Yeah.
That's the wonder of subconscious. It cares about the operator as much as it cares about the subject. I was just, I want to say, blessed with an opportunity that really woke me up. And then I was blessed with, to me, a great teacher, great mentor. And then I had a couple other great teachers. And I was able to put some things together, and I found out we can all do these things, and there is something beyond the conscious that really, truly loves us unconditionally and will do whatever is necessary for our highest good to help us. And to me, this is truly a gift from God. No matter what religion you are, or even if you don't have a religion, doesn't matter. You can say it's a gift of the universe. It is a gift to be able to achieve these things and to benefit us in this way.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this state that many people change from mystical states or something else, I don't know how many ideas I've listened about the ultra-depth state, because they, as a matter of fact, they don't know this kind of state. So, is a normal state, is a physiological state. So, the brain in this kind of state has less activity than the normal awareness that we have. So it's a non-strange state, a mystical state, or something else that I don't know how describe it.
It's normal state for everyone to achieve. It's not magical, it's not mystical.
A physiological process.
And if someone wants to really have an opinion, they should take the training before giving an opinion, because it's all hearsay. Oh, well, I had a friend, or I think this, or I know. How can you know something until you have the experience yourself? There's very few people who I have taught who have actually gone through the entire process to become a practitioner. Very few have gone through the entire process to become a facilitator. Now, you are the second educator that I have right now. Ralph Alaco is one. You're now number two. All I can say is what my mentor said to me. Please teach them well. That's what he wanted from me. That's why what I said to Ralph Alaco. Now I'm asking you, please teach them well. They've got to know that they can do this, they can help their clients, they themselves can achieve these things, and the world can be a better place. We are all brothers and sisters on this world, whether we want to look at it that way or not. We live on this little tiny ball. We need to learn to get along and to help one another. This world can be a better place. It doesn't have to be like this. We don't need to go through all that we have been going through. We can change things.
I'm so proud. I'm so glad that I'm an educator, trained directly by James Ramey. I really feel emotional now because it's an important step for me and for Italy and the other place as in Europe to learn this kind of process and go beyond the process and make a good and solid structure to can achieve a big school altogether.
Not too long ago, someone had asked me, what were some of my goals, and one of my goals is to have an educator in each and every country. I have people now in the different Asian countries who have asked to become educators, to become trainers. To me, they're an educator. I would love to have this happen to every country, have an educator there to help others to become practitioners and facilitators. I cannot do it all. It's impossible. I may have 2 people in this country, 3 people in that country. It's very difficult to do things. I do not want to have hundreds of educators in one country. That makes no sense to me. I know there are organizations who do these things. I will not do that. I don't believe that that's proper.
Ultradepth discount.
Yeah, yes. To me, it's important to do things and do them proper. I'm trying to do my best to follow the concepts that my mentor set down for me. And it's important to me that it happen before I leave this world, so I can turn it over to someone else, so that they continue, and not just continue in my footsteps. No, that's not enough. They have to take it to the next step. This is what my mentor's daughter and son-in-law said to me when all this happened. Ernie said, please, my dad would like you to take it to the next step. I didn't understand at that time. It was hard for me just to accept it. This was his discovery. But he wanted to go on. I had an experience during that time that I don't have time now to explain, but that experience I had convinced me that he, even though he had passed, wanted me to do this. So I know somehow he knows what's in my heart. And that's who I want to show my respect to. And not to the person who has an uneducated or an unexperienced opinion. Many people have many opinions. I have too. They don't smell so good. So
That's good. Good stuff.
I want people to really understand this is not a game. This is serious business. This is not a stage show. This is something for real. And anyone can do it. It should be used in surgeries. It should be used in dentistry. It should be used in psychiatry, psychology. It should be used in everyday life. Your life. As I said to you,
Yeah.
the ultradepth is more than just a process. It's also a way of life. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
It is. It's the way we conduct ourselves with other people. It's what we do to ourselves. Are we going to abuse ourselves? We're going to abuse something that also loves us very much. If someone out there is listening and they say, well, I believe in God. Well, good. Why would you want to abuse the gift that he gave you? Wouldn't you want to develop it, help it to flourish, do all the things that God wants us to do instead of going against it? This is not something, some people say, oh, well, hypnosis is of the devil. No, it's not. Because if they look in that book, it says on the seventh day he rested. What are we doing? We're teaching people how to relax. That's what we're doing. And at what level of relaxation? So your gifts and talents will come forward for you. That's what it's about. It is not devil's work. It is not witchcraft. It is not mumbo jumbo. It is a science and an art. And it's also what's inside of us. What is really deep inside and how we can find a way to help another person. Walter Secord said many times, I don't know how many times I heard him say this, don't say, oh gee, that's impossible. Instead say, well, let's find how to do it. And then he said, and a way will come to you. He was right. When I thought that things were getting to that point, I would stop and say, all right, let's figure out how I can do this. And shortly, I came up with an idea. Where did the idea came from? Once I did that, I opened the doors for my subconscious to give me some information. I acted upon the information, and it worked. Anyone can do the same thing. We must stop not believing. We have to be like a child and accept, and then we will have our convincers, our proof.
Perfect, James. I'm glad and proud to be a part of this process and of this school that you have building in years and years of practice. And see ya in the next live training course. Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.